Make a date with Reverend Dr. Ebenezer Markwei at 6 a.m. from Monday to Saturday on Graphic Online via Facebook and YouTube as he expounds on matters of faith. Graphic Online, truth and accuracy every day.
Hello, this is Reverend Dr. Ebenezer Markwei of Living Streams International. I'm bringing you matters of faith with Graphic Online. And I'd like to capture my thought this morning with the word, it is time. It is time. And still on the story of Joseph, if you remember, Joseph has been maltreated by his brothers, sold into slavery by the Ishmaelites, and then goes to Potiphar's house, and then a woman, frivolous woman, that gives a very frivolous accusation against him. He lands in prison. When he lands in prison, he helps a butler, and the butler climbs to positions of prominence, and the butler forgot. But in all these things, you'll be wondering, so where is God, and what is God up to? And what's God doing? Why all this delay? Why all this pain? Why all this painful trajectory of faith? What is going on? Why is Joseph from one calamity to the other? First of all, his father sent him. He didn't ask to be sent. His father sent him. And then he's giving direction to his pain by some men from Shechem. And then he goes to Dothan, and then his brothers, they beat him up, they strip him naked, they throw him into a pit. And then all of a sudden, the brothers then get up, and then they sell him as a slave. He goes into Potiphar's house, and then the woman also looks upon him, and the woman then, when he says no, then the woman then goes on a tirade of accusations, and then he can't even defend himself, and then he lands in prison. And so you gotta ask yourself, so where's God? What's happening? Why is it one thing after the other, one disaster after the other, one calamity after the other, one adversity after the other? Is it that Joseph was never made to sit at the table of laughter? Is it that Joseph was never made to sit at the table of celebration? Is it that Joseph was cursed right from his mother's womb to go through this agony and tortuous journey of life? He was too young when he was thrown into all this maelstrom of events. He was too young for that. But he's going through. And you ask, when is it going to end? And then all of a sudden, God says it's time. And when God says it's time, that's the time for Pharaoh to begin to dream. My goodness. God said it is time. So Pharaoh, turn on, angelic being, turn on the fountains of dreams. Pour those fountains upon Pharaoh. Trouble him and don't give him rest until he calls for Joseph and Joseph comes forward. It's time. And when it's time, no one can change it on the timetable of God. Because the Bible says, in his time, he makes all things beautiful. So now it is time for Joseph to rise off the doldrums of despair and despondency. It's not time for him to rise up and begin to mount up with wings and begin to ride chariots of fame and popularity. My goodness, it is time. There's a time for everything. And for every purpose in the heaven, there's a time. God has orchestrated it. Our times and our seasons don't lie in our hands. Our times and our season lies in his hands. And I want you to know that when it's time, it's time. And maybe I'm talking to somebody right out there who is listening to me, and you need to hear the word, it's time. Maybe it's time for your sun to come out and shine. It's time for the doors that hold you captive to open. It's time for the chariots of failure you've been riding, the horses of chariot, or the horses of failure you've been riding. It's time to get off those horses and begin to ride on chariots of glory and fame and popularity. Maybe it's time for you to be outdoors and your name, your branding to come up for everybody to see. It is time for the song that looks so far away beginning to be heard. It is time for the laughter that had been denied you, for that laughter to be heard. It is time for the celebration. It's time for you to come out of hiding and dance with joy. It is time for the answer to the prayer that you've been asking God for. It is time. I believe it. It is time. Because it's appointed by God. The times and our seasons of our lives are in his hands. Hey, say to yourself and say to somebody, it is time. See you later.